this is Cian. Welcome to another video. We're doing another short story in the Beyond the Books of the Clockwork Chronicles. We are doing Hero of Wonderberg, part 1 of Capture. We're doing the fourth part of the first book. It sounds confusing, but I'm sure I made it more clear in the title. Like, I wanted to do it all at once, but it was like 45 minutes long, and I'm like, I do not want to upload that. I do not want to upload that. Because I don't know how many people would want to watch a 45-minute video. It would have been 3 videos, but like, would anyone actually want to listen to that 45 minutes of a video? Anyway, let's get into it now, shall we? If you haven't liked the video already, be sure to do so, and yeah, be sure to let me know any thoughts, questions, theories, any other stuff. You know, the usual. Let's go. If you haven't read the other parts, you should do. Oh, spoilers. Squishy. Yes. Squishy sat alone in one of the playpen cells in the Popo police station. The space was far from quiet, though, as she sat in the corner, knowingly being guarded from both the iron-barred window looking out and the few men loudly chatting in the hallway. She wasn't going anywhere, and neither was William, who was in the other cell next to her, looking frustrated and uneasy. Everything had gone so wrong very quickly. The men had outmatched them without even trying. Here she was, locked in a police station that wasn't too far from Stampy's house, where she knew the boy had to be. Did she even know what was going on at all? She closed her eyes and she remembered everything that had happened. She'd seen the struggle her friend had gone through. He'd been given no choice but to cooperate in where the men had wanted of him. It no doubt pained him, she saw. The plea for help was enough to melt her heart as she sat there in the cell, wondering how she could fulfill her friend's request of getting help. The men seemed sure it would be impossible, that no matter what they tried to do, they couldn't escape, couldn't go after Stampy and rescue him. What did the men even want with Wonderberg, or the idea of wandering in general? It made no sense. The duckling looked up when she heard a sound next to her cell. As she looked up to see William walking towards her cell, blocked by an iron-barred window, so that they could both see each other. "Hey, William," she said with a small, sad smile as she walked over to the cell. "As well. You careful to keep an eye towards the hallway in case the men would try to intervene. They didn't seem to care." "You sure you're okay? Those men were pretty rough on you." William nodded as he shrugged with a smile, as if to say it didn't really matter. He didn't look to be injured at all, which was a relief to her. The men hadn't hurt her either, only threatened to when Stampy was around. The man who had grabbed her had quickly put away the dagger afterward, which she was glad about. They were keeping their end of the deal. So far, anyway. "Do you think we'll ever get out of this?" she asked quietly, before adding, "There has to be a way to get help, right? A way to call for help?" William raised an eyebrow curiously. He stepped back, pulled something out from a hip pocket. Her eyes widened as she saw a freshly made crossbow and a firework. "Where'd you get that?" she asked quietly. "How did the men not take that from you?" Beaver cocked his head as if he was expecting her to know the answer to that. She shook her head and smiled. "All right, I have an idea." She beckoned for the beaver to pass the weapon and the firecracker over, and the beaver did so. "Mind distracting them while I get on the roof? I'm going to send this where someone will definitely see this." William nodded, but the duckling could see a look of concern on his face. "I'll be careful, don't worry. We have to try this. I need to get high enough so that someone can see where the men can't easily stop." The beaver sighed as she quickly stowed away his items, just as they heard a voice from near the doorway. What are the two of you up to? Oh, nothing, she said cheerfully, casually stepping away from the barred window. Sounded like something to me, Amanda suspiciously. There really isn't anything you need to be concerned about, she said calmly. William and I were just chatting. About what? The man snorted. Your friend there can't even talk. So, we can have a pretty good conversation all the same. Not worry, William, Duckling said hurriedly. The Billiam... Wow. Well, the beaver nodded to confirm her statement to the duckling as the duckling scrambled for something to say or do. But to her surprise, she didn't have to, as William pulled something out of his pocket and tore toward the wall. It was shears. She watched in shocked surprise as he sheared his way through the wall and tore outside. Yeah, not very secure. Stop that beaver! The man shouted in alarm as he turned back the way he'd come, leaving the duckling to herself. A smile crawled onto her face as hope sparked. The beaver had given her a moment to do what she needed to do, just like he had for Stampy. When those supposed bodyguards had been assigned to protect them, but instead imprisoned them and hurt Stampy. She knew she didn't have much time, and she ran to the only wall without a window or door, made of iron, as she broke the ceiling with ease as she pulled herself up to the roof. When she arrived to the roof, she went up to the top and looked around, seeing that most of the men had gone after William, who had disappeared into the town. Hopefully he'll be okay, she said to herself as she took a deep breath and took out the items that the beaver had given her. She slid the firecracker into the crossbow and aimed it up towards the music tower, hoping Fizzy would be there and hear it. It was her only chance to warn her friends that they were in trouble, that something bad had happened. They were Stampy's only hope. She couldn't let down. She pulled back the crossbow all the way so that it would be on full power as she made it go. Everything seemed to go in slowly as her mind thought of all the things that had happened and what might happen if the men caught her up here. Would Stampy be punished? What if they did escape? Would the men hurt Stampy to get back at them? Thoughts of men hurting her friend fueled an inner anger within her as she let the firecracker go, watching it fly into the air until it exploded in a dazzle of red sparkles into the crisp blue sky, right by the music tower, right where she needed it to be. Suddenly, her marvel of momentary success faded quickly when she heard a shout from below. She looked to see one of the men on the birch, his checkered path. What are you doing up there, duckling? The man snapped angrily. Get down from there! You need to come and get me first, she demanded firmly as she ran to the edge of the building and leaped down, gently gliding to the ground before making a run for the water, just behind the hat trick magic shop. However, she didn't go far before she heard a shatter of glass behind her as someone bounced on her, causing her to tumble to the ground. Got you, the man sneered as the duckling struggled to push him off. Get off me, she demanded angrily as the man pulled her to her feet and began dragging her back towards the police station. You won't be getting away from us that easily, duckling, the man sneered. The beaver might have escaped, but all we really need is you, to make sure our little feline friend does what he is asked of him. I'll get out of this, and we'll stop you, you'll see, she said boldly. Not so bold to your enemies if you don't want to risk getting hurt. I'm not afraid of your petty threats, the duckling said. Well then, this will be very interesting. Now won't it? The man mused as he dragged as she was dragged into the police station and tossed into the office, hearing the door close behind her as she fell on the carpeted floor. All of it was made of wool. She knew the men wouldn't be so easily fooled this time. She tried to escape. She still held hope. William was still out there, and the others had to know something was up by now. Surely they wouldn't leave her here with Ethan forever. But the person she was more concerned of, more than she was of herself, Stampy. He was the one in the most danger. The one who was going to be facing Mr. A once again. The man who had constantly been trying to kill him. She had hoped he would be okay. That the men wouldn't hurt him because of her, which she had nearly done. She couldn't be sure if she would forgive herself if the men did hurt him. What she could really do now, at that moment, was hope. Somehow, hope would come. Why not? Why not? Stampy. It's probably a shorter one anyway, so why not? Stampy led the way through the path, trying his best not to think about the men that were behind him. Part of him wanted to try to make a run for it about 5 minutes ago, but he had thought against it, knowing the men would make sure he would regret it if he tried to get away. For all he knew, Squishy and William were depending on him not to cause any mischief. Surely he had no choice. He had to lead these men to the portal, even though he really didn't want to do it. I'm so sorry, the cat said quietly under his breath, knowing no one else could hear him, knowing the town of Wonderberg couldn't hear him, nor Keen, the wizard friend he'd come to know over his adventures that he'd had throughout their time together. He missed the world, and his friends there, but he shouldn't want to come back like this, leading his own enemies to be able to do whatever they wished. That was why he was trying to stall them as much as he could, in the hopes that someone would be able to come and rescue him. To stop this altogether. No one had to come during the whole ordeal, though. He still held on to that hope that someone might come. He had to believe that his friends would get help and fix this before it got too ugly. But he was running out of time, and he knew the men would catch on to what he was doing. What did you say, cat? One of the men snapped at him. I said we're almost there, the cat said quickly, swallowing back a wave of nervousness. He didn't know how much patience these men had. They hadn't bothered to remove his things or tie him up, interestingly enough. Perhaps they believed he was cooperating with them and had no need to tie him up. Maybe, if it came down to it, he could use his knowledge of Wonderberg against them. Surely he knew more than these men did. He just needed to outsmart them when they least expected it. You're really testing our patience, cat, the second man snapped angrily. You aren't leading us to a trap, are you? Why would I be? The cat answered instantly. If you're trying to stall us so your friends can have a chance to rescue you, it won't work, the main man said coolly. Don't look too startled, cat. We knew you might try to do that. I've ordered my men to keep a close eye on your friends to ensure they wouldn't be able to stop us. You might as well tell us where the portal is. It's for your own good. Probably a lie. The cat swallowed and nodded. Yes, sir. Good, the man said with his mouth. Now, show us where you've hidden your little secret, step cat. Right over here, the cat said quietly as he pointed toward the door, where he knew the portal would be. The men followed him through as he stepped inside, looking around the area in search for a starting mechanism he would need. Where is it, cat? The first man said coldly when he walked in, his eyes sparkling with rage as he noticed the cat walking towards one of the extra storage rooms. But before the cat could get to the room, the man grabbed him and slammed him against the ground. Ow! What was that for? The cat said as he grunted in pain. Tell us where it really is. You don't have time for your games. You tricked us, didn't you? You're trying to make a fool of us and make us look stupid. No, I assure you it's here, the cat said calmly, deciding not to struggle against this man. And where is it? The man spat, slapping the cat on top of the epic convention. Why don't you get off me and I'll show you, the cat said simply, knowing the sting of a forming bruise from where the man had struck him. Not until you tell us where you've hidden it, the man sneered. All right, I'll tell you, the cat said with a sad smile, as he pointed to the room he had been to go into. It's in the room over there, but you probably won't find it if you don't know what you're looking at, where to look. You think you're playing games, aren't you? Well, this isn't funny, the man sneered as the second man walked into the room, no doubt looking for whatever the cat had referenced. Maybe we should just kill you and get this over with. You're clearly not helping. Mr. A wants him alive, the remaining man said calmly. It wouldn't be any good to him dead, I'm sure. Does it look like I care? Making a fool of us and lying to us, the man said coldly. Maybe you should get off him and give him a chance to do what he needs to do, the second man said from the room. I found a lever, but when I flipped it, I saw that it needed a code. A code? Why would you need a code for something like this? The man asked. Maybe to stop people from like you from getting in, the cat asked with an eyebrow. Holly and I worked on it for a good month. It's pretty complicated, and a proud work of mine. Does it look like I care? You should, the cat said. 'Cause you'll get a consequence unless you put in the right code. Like what? The man sneered. Well, the cat said slowly, you could get splashed by a poison potion, or get a good dunk of some water if you're lucky. And if we're not? The man asked. Cat shrugged. You don't want to know. Now why don't you give us the stupid code? The man shouted at him, shaking him against the floor as the cat tried to keep his composure. Partially amused by the man's reaction and frightened by the anger in his eyes, he didn't want to step too far, knowing that full well there was no real consequences. He only wanted to scare the man into listening to him. It amused him how much it was working. Well, I would, but I forgot it. The cat said with a shrug. The man's eyes sparkled with rage as he slapped him across the face a few times. Does that help with remembering it? You don't have to hit me, the cat said sheepishly. He shook his head. I might have it in one of the storage chests upstairs, though. Or in my inner chest. Inner chest? The man asked curiously. It's something only I can access whenever I put in, the cat said. I put important things in there. Things you can't get to. Is he saying what I think he's saying? The main man asked. He's lying. He knows very well what it is. The first man sneered. Just trying to find a way to get help to his friends, and that is not happening. Cat swallowed, finding it hard to keep up, coming up with anything that might give him any chance to get help. The man had been right, of course, but he wasn't going to admit that. He was having a little too fun for some reason, and it had almost worked. Now he had no choice but to tell him. It was the day I first came into the town, the cat said quietly. And what is that? The man snapped. 4252015. April 25, 2015. Stop it! The cat replied confidently. I put on Do Not Disturb, and I still get disturbed. How lovely. Put that in, the man shouted at his comrade, who ran into the room as the cat laid there on the ground, defeated. It was hopeless, though. He just knew that time was running out. You might want to get off me, though, the cat suggested. The ground's going to open up. The ground's going to open up, and you don't want to fall through. No, you're the one who doesn't want to fall through. The man sneered as he got off the cat, grabbing him and pulling him to his feet, the both of them stepping back just as the ground began to shake. The sticker man ran out, looking proud of himself. Is it working? He asked hopefully, as he looked over at the cat, not in dismay. He could see the floor is starting to open up as something began to come up from the ground. It looked to be a large, colorful portal. The cat looked up at it. The feeling of a mixed emotions through him. Regret, hope, fear, happiness, uncertainty, so much more. This was it. He'd given the men what they wanted. He'd done everything he could to stop them. Yet he still failed. I'm so sorry, the cat whispered again, as the first man began to push him forward. Come on, let's get a move on, the man said angrily, when the cat didn't start to move. Wait, you don't want to be so hasty, the cat insisted, remembering the last few times he had entered through the portal. It seemed fair to at least try to warn these men. Just in case. We don't have time for you stalling us any longer. We did it, the first man said. He shoved Stampy through the portal, the other men following shortly behind. This was it. They were leaving the lovely world. And entering a world that now could be in serious danger. It was all his fault. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be the end of that video. There's a lot of pop-ups. Apparently, iPad is being naughty. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know why, but yeah. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't enjoy it, but like, I don't know why that's happening. I'm like, what is it? Not a big deal. You guys can see a little sneak peek of what's going on, I guess. And what happened today. I still can't believe it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next one. Goodbye.